Good evening, all. I might have jammied up things a little bit here. I had set the time for 10 p.m. my time, but it's supposed to be 10 p.m. Eastern time. I get a little confused. I've been hitting the head a little too many times. But I hope that you guys are here to say hi to Steve Molloy. It was a Real Talk Phins Talk, but now it's Real Talk Rants. Phins Rants or Rants?
Real Talk Rants with Steve Molloy.
Real Talk, yes. Yeah. So he was the first guy to reach out to me and ask me to be on his show. That was a Dolphin fan. And, Tommy from Mafia Sports Report, I've been on his show all the time. But so I'm really grateful. I'm happy to see him here. So we're going to get into a little Real Talk rants with Steve over here. So, guys, I'm going to see if anyone's here. So, Steve, tell us about yourself. Tell us about how you became a Dolphins fan. And,
sure.
I hate to say, but you're a little bit older than me. So you were around during the good old years. You got to see the good stuff. So just tell us about how you became a Phins fan, how it all started. That's, to me, is a big story, talking point for me.
Sure. Yeah, no, it'd be a pleasure. And thank you for inviting me on tonight. I appreciate it, Curtis. I really do. Well, I was originally born in South Florida, down in Miami. So I did see the Miami Dolphins, the good old days, like you said. Well, how I became a fan, Curtis, is it was 1969. My cousin.
69. How old were you then? How old?
I was, let's see, I was 10.
Wow.
10 in 1969. So my cousin had season tickets to the Miami Dolphins in the Orange Bowl, the old Orange Bowl. And I went to my first football game. Wasn't much of a Dolphin fan at that time, but I went to the first football game in 1969. It was the New York Jets. When not white shoes. That was Joe Namath. Yeah.
Was
the quarterback at that
Broadway
time.
Joe, my guy.
Broadway Joe, there you go. And so watched him play and the Dolphins play, and I was just it was just fun, man. I mean, I was hooked from that one game. I don't even think we won that game, but anyway, so that at that time, that was my first initiation into the Miami Dolphins. And then the following year, I didn't follow much at that time, 69. I mean, I knew of them. I went to that
10
game.
years old.
Yeah, so I really didn't follow them that much at that time. But in 1970, the next year after, my stepdad, he came home from work and he said, "Son, I've got some season tickets to the Miami Dolphins, and here's why. They got a brand new coach."
I hear that guy was going to be good.
That's what he said. He said, "I hear that guy is pretty good. I have a good feeling about this organization. They got a good he got a good coaching staff behind him. So I got season tickets." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool. Let's do it."
Wow. Oh, man. You're hurting me. I'm so jealous. So jealous.
So from 70 to
maybe you're the magic man. You came on in 70, and that's when it all started happening, man. Oh,
maybe I need to move back down to South Florida.
Oh, I think so. That's so magical. So I came on in 78, and my family I'm from, if you can't tell, I'm from New York. But my other part of the family was from Florida in Tampa. And it was, hey, Mr. Success. There's my guy, Cody. Cody, my man. Great guy. He's usually on. He's usually on tonight with me.
I know.
I upgraded it as far as memories, Cody. I'm sorry, you're the man. But you know what I want to do tonight? Actually, I want to do a little historical tour a little bit, because there's so much value in what you have to say, because so many of us don't understand the feelings. Like, so in 1978, I was playing football before that. My family's a football team. And I just remember them being aglow with the Dolphins. and it was all started down south. And, I think they were like Giants fans or something. But then they switched over to the Dolphins. Everybody in the house was Dolphin fans, except for my one evil cousin. He was a Cowboy fan. And I remember going down even in the early 80s to Florida, Tampa, and it was so special. The Dolphins, from what I told, because I'm not a Florida native, they brought like a level of legitimacy, a level of success. The Dolphins, when they hit it, especially the way they hit it in that 71, 72, 73 season, shook the world. It made Florida a top. I remember because they're not from Miami, but they were from Tampa, but they were always so proud. They were Dolphins fans. And I worked in Tampa and I met a guy there who was a pizza guy and he knew the team and he would just reminisce constantly. It was such a big deal. So is this true? Am I overblown?
Yeah. No, you're right. Because, back then in the 70s, Miami was the team, man. I mean, there was no other teams. We had no baseball. We had no basketball. Had a lot of baseball teams that come down, like the Mets, and come down for spring training in Florida.
College football was big, though, right?
College, yeah. Well, yeah. University of Miami. They were, they had their heyday in the 80s. I got to see some of those games in the Orange Bowl as well. I was a big college fan back then. Not so much now, but I mean, I keep track of them a little bit, but not like I was back in the 80s. But yeah, the Miami Dolphins were the talk of the town back then, man. And what's really cool, Curtis, is in the 70s, after the games, they'd come home from after the away games and things like that. There was no TSA in the airports and things like that. So I was able to go and wait for them in the airport, as soon as they come out and land and come out of the planes, and come down the hallway there, I was able to go meet and greet them, the players. I got to meet Manny Fernandez, Larry Zonka, Bob Greasy, Howard Twilley.
Oh, wow. So you met them, huh?
I met a lot of them. Yeah, I met a lot of them. And the thing too is, wow. I used to live in Miami Springs, which is outside of the Miami central, downtown central area, and a little suburb called Hialeah, Miami Springs, they call it. And a lot of the players used to live in the Miami Springs area, and the reason being is the airport, Miami International Airport, was right around the corner there, right down the block, from Miami Springs. So a lot of these players used to live there. And there was a recreation center, Miami Springs Recreation Center. I used to go and I used to hang out all day playing basketball when I was a kid at the rec center. Jim Mandage was in there. I played basketball with Jim Mandage, Marlon Briscoe, Stan Mitchell. Wow. He even brought some of his other buddies from other teams, from the New York Giants. Pete Athis used to play defensive back. He's a local kid. He grew up, and played football down in Miami. But anyway, so I got to meet all those guys, Murky Morris, Ben Malone.
Wow. And that's the stories I hear. I hear those stories.
Larry Little.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I hear those stories all the time, though, that I think that's part of the thing that really connected them to the communities, because they were in the community. I hear all the time from people I talk to living there. Oh, I hung out with Zonka. I'm like, yeah, thanks for rubbing it in, but there was a real connection. It was so different than today, I mean,
oh yeah.
It's so much more personable. And I talk to so many people because I still got some family down there. I haven't talked in a while. But I constantly meet people who are around during that time. Like, oh yeah, I had lunch with him and I knew him and I knew this guy's mother. And that is so great, man, to have those memories. Those memories. Yeah. So now what it was, oh no, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that was just a special time back then. I mean, here's a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid meeting these, gigantic football players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like meeting gods.
Oh,
I met Charlton Heston once. My mom worked in a tennis plays. They play tennis in the city or whatever, like all these active, famous people or whatever. So I met Charlton Heston once, and I still remember that to this day. I remember his tan, like the what a leisure suit or whatever they called him, walking and freezing when I saw him. I can't imagine meeting all these football guys. It's like it's just such a huge, and that's the thing too. I think that I really wish that, and I kind of seen it a little bit more. Football players, the impact they have on young kids. When young kids see these guys, these heroic figures, I mean, physically heroic, they see them on the screen. Yeah. They're like superheroes, and they really have such a huge impact on kids. It's massive. So you said, did you say you met Zonka?
I met Larry Zonka briefly. I met him at the at Miami International Airport when he came down. When he came back from, I don't know what game it was so far back. But anyway, I met him. I went up to him, and I was like, hello? He was a huge
gigantic. Man. He was a freak. The chin, the jaw, and he was like, he was a 230, like not fat 230. He was lean.
Yeah, actually, he was probably right about 240.
Wow.
But he was just he's a farm guy, farm kid, country strong, that's what he was.
That's how I grew up. That's how I grew up, man.
Yeah. And, so I got his autograph. Now I don't know where that autograph is to save the life of me right now. I don't know whatever happened to him, but I got a bunch of autographs. Doug Cruzan, I got his autograph. I had,
I used to have the greasy photo that you'd send in with the glasses and the signature.
Oh yeah,
Bob Greasy, man. I lost that thing. It sucked. I wish I had that thing.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about the backup quarterbacks, because I know that's a big thing in Miami, and we can continue with this conversation too. But I wanted to bring this point up because it's very important. I know that everybody's talking about Skyler and Mike White, and they were having the battle in training camp and all that. And now we got Skyler Thompson as our backup quarterback. And so here's how important the backup quarterback is. Okay,
There's a story about that with the Dolphins, isn't there?
Yes, Bob Greasy went down, right? Got hurt, and Earl Morrall from the Baltimore Colts, right? Yeah. That's Don Shula brought him over to Miami. 38-year-old, right? Quarterback.
Crazy.
He looked like he was 60, but I don't know. They looked older back then for some reason, these guys. But anyway, came in there, took the reins, won 10 straight games for the Miami Dolphins.
That's
how
so
many
crazy.
quarterbacks can you say have done that in recent modern football history? Right.
I think the last one to do something like that was Kurt Warner with the Chiefs. Remember? Dick Vermeil crying.
Right.
And then he came in. That was epic, dude. That's such a huge story. That's a big story too, man. That's so rare though. It's so rare.
Very rare.
Okay. So I love the old nostalgic stuff. I know some people with questions for today. So we'll bring it back today, and I'm sure I'm going to ask you some more nostalgic stuff along the way.
Absolutely.
So what's your viewpoint on Skyler?
I like Skyler more than I liked Mike White, for sure. I think Skyler fits the system well, this Mike McDaniel system. I think he has he's younger. He has more of an upside than I thought Mike White had. He can go off script.
Yeah.
He's got a stronger arm, not a bullet arm, but he's got a strong arm.
Yeah.
The only thing with Skyler Thompson is he gets into the Matt Moore mode, gunslinger,
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. And I'm not saying that's bad or that's good, but that's just him, And I think
he started processing quicker, I think, this preseason.
Yes,
though.
And that was something that he worked on in the offseason. He was processing and getting the ball out.
Yeah, his second game, I think, was 1.183 clean time, which was insane.
Yeah.
Really good for him.
Really good for him. I'm glad for him. I didn't think he got a fair shot the year before last. Look, he beat the Jets, right? I mean, I know the score wasn't a big score,
Yeah, we'll
but
take it.
he almost beat the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I know. Can you believe? I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, we lost 2 playoff games, and like we really need to win one. But man, we were so close that game.
So close.
A little better managing by McDaniel, and we would have pulled it off. And he had some ugly beginning. I mean, Josh Allen had some real ugly to balance it out. It was a sloppy game, but it all came together at the end, and he almost pulled it off. That was crazy. That was good. So, okay, hold on a second. Cody's my man. He's going to beat me up next time if I don't get his question answered. Hey, Steve, where does this current team rank compared to those of the best Dolphin rosters over the years? How would you – I mean, obviously the championship teams, it's not there.
Yeah,
let's not even pretend that, I mean. Yeah.
So what's the question again? I'm sorry.
How would you rank this current roster with former teams?
Okay. Look, not this year, but last year's not last year, but the last. I get my years messed up. I'm sorry. The year before, right, 2022. It was probably the best roster that we'll ever see again that we had.
Yeah, it's a shame Tua went down.
Yeah, Tua went down. Hey, but you know what? He went down, right? And that's what everybody was saying. Well, Tua went down. That's the reason why we lost. We lost and we didn't win in the playoffs and all that. Well, he got his opportunity last year and he blew it. So,
but to me, for me, I still say that when you look at the setup for this kid, I don't know I don't know if he's going to, if you put him in the right situation, you have everything right, is he going to pull off? But I don't think there's any way with the way this roster is constructed, we were going into KC to win. No way. No way. I still want to see more success out of him. I want to see him more clutch in the big time. I thought the Dallas game showed some stuff. I thought he came through. It was a tough game to win. He pulled us into the field goal position. We took it, I think he did a really good job. I still, me, with this offensive line, I'm going to get back to the rev up here because he had a good question. I still say that this offensive line is huge mitigating factor. So, but that 22 team was, if you go look at what he was doing for a few of those games, it was almost 10 yards per attempt. In 10, it was like 10.3 and 10 air yards or something. It's insane. It's 3 yards better than he did last year, and so it's a shame it didn't kind of coalesce,
I know. But yeah, that's probably talent wise. I wouldn't say any of the 71, 72 roster because those teams were stacked. I mean, everybody on that team could have been an all-pro. I'm serious.
Too many Hall of Famers. There's too many Hall of Famers right off the bat.
But compared, that was probably the best roster we've had in about 30 years, man.
Yeah, I would say it's such a shame. Could you imagine? Talent-wise. Those early 2000 teams were unbelievable, but the quarterback was such a glaring hole. Even the offensive line to a certain degree, not like a high degree.
Right.
I think the 92 team was really good too.
92.
A little sloppy. 86 team was really good because they had Dwight Stevenson and Marino and Duper and Clayton, but they were lacking a little bit on defense and they just couldn't run the football. They couldn't really.
No, they couldn't. Run the football.
So these last two teams are very, very talented. Very, very talented.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one other advantage that
the 83. Okay, you remember this better than me. What about the 83 team? How would you rank that? With the Woodley Strock. The Woodley Strock.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think talent-wise, we had a better roster than them in 83, Let me tell you a funny story since we're in the 80s. Dan Marino was drafted in 82, 83, one of those. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but anyway,
83, I think.
Yeah, 83, I think it was. I was in the mall down in South Florida. I just gotten married, so it was 83. Just gotten married with my wife, of course. And we were walking around in the mall, and they had the I think it was called the Athlete's Foot. It was a sneaker store. I don't know if you remember those.
Yeah, of course.
Stores.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had Dan Marino in there signing autographs with Super
Wow.
Duper and Mark Clayton.
That,
And
so you just basically coming on the show to rub it in my face, right? Is that what it is?
Here's the funny story. So my wife goes, "Hey, look, there's Dan Marino, the guy that the
awesome.
Dolphins just drafted. Maybe you want to go over there and get his autograph?" I said, "Nah, he's just a rookie."
I feel better now.
I thought you would. So I blew it, man. And I had another opportunity to get his autograph when I was working construction in Destin, Florida. And they're building that community up down in Destin, Florida. And nice brand new homes and things. And I was doing some construction and I was in back of a truck. And I was just, in the back and I was looking around and I saw this person walking out of this house with a Budweiser in his hand, no shoes, no shirt, and shorts. And I said, "Holy crap, that's Dan Marino."
That's funny.
And I go, "Hey, Dan." And I waved and he waved back. And I blew it again. I didn't tell the truck driver, "Hey, stop. I want to get his autograph."
Man.
So I had two opportunities to get his autograph.
Cool.
And I blew it.
That's so cool. I wonder, like if people that are living now in Miami, do they get these same kind of looks? Do they see? Because, the media is totally different. It's really hard to be, out there in public, like it used to be. Right. I wonder if people are still getting those same kind of looks to see people in the streets and stuff.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Can you answer this question here? Reverend William Perry. He says, "Why doesn't Grier address the most important part of your offense, which is the line?" Well, I'll give my take, but I want to hear your take as well.
Well, my take is look, as much as I'm not a fan of Chris Grier, I can't point the fingers at Chris Grier only. Okay. Mike McDaniel's co-signed on this as well, and he said he's fine with the line and thinks he's got a good line as well, right? He's happy with it, and I gotta say Tua said the same thing. He's going along to get along. Yep. He's the franchise quarterback. We just paid him millions and millions of dollars, and he's our gold mine, right?
Yeah.
And you need to protect your gold mine. Then if Tua doesn't feel comfortable back there and he's just going along to get along, he needs to speak up. If he's a true leader, as everybody has said, he's taken on that leadership role this year, even more so than he has in the past, then he needs to speak up and say, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with this line." And then it goes to Coach McDaniel and it goes to Chris Grier, right? Of course, Chris Grier has the final say, but I'm sure Chris Grier just didn't say, "Well, this is the line you're going to have, Mike, and that's it, period." I'm sure he consulted with Mike McDaniel on what he needs, right? So you can't point the finger on Grier, totally, is what I'm saying. And I'm not a big fan of him.
Yeah, I get it. So I remember Chris Grier saying he was pounding his fist for EZ, and he was so excited that he got him. And to me, Zach Tom, I mean, I'm not Johnny come lately. I was saying he was in our building. It was like the easiest pick in the world for us to take. Mm-hmm. And they missed him with Tyndall. They missed him with Easy. And
yeah,
I was like, so, that one quote kind of goes to what you're saying. I do think Chris Grier says, "Hey, this is kind of what we're doing. It's going to be this philosophy. You've got to understand that this is the philosophy we're going to run." When they hired him, I think the philosophy does go to the San Francisco. They kind of believe in the money ball system on your offensive line. Although, Trent Williams, it's great when you're building your money ball offensive line against probably one of the top 5 tackles in the history of the game. There's no offense to my man Tehran. He's really, really good, but he doesn't have the health history of Williams, and he's not as an equal to Williams. He's really good, but he's a Hall of Fame guy. And they've had good guys there. I don't think they take it to the extreme that we take it. Like there's no Cottons, there's no Eichenbergs, and I'd have to agree.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
So and then I think too. We don't know if Tua is in the background saying something. So yeah, I guess you have to split it around. But whatever it is, it's like, where does this is the whole thing that as there's people out there, as Cody says, that some needs to be greater than the parts for it to work. And I do believe in teamwork. I do believe in if you got the right guys that are working together, but there's still just a level of talent. Like you wouldn't say, oh, well, you know what? These receivers, they run 840s, but, they've been working real hard together and they got their timing down. We got a whole group of them. They all run 4.8. And people be like, what are you, insane? We got these edge players, they run 5.2, but, they're really working hard. No one would buy into that. Right. But somehow along the way, people have kind of said that O-line is just guys doing a thing. And my whole history of playing football, studying football, talking to coaches, it's always been the O-line sets the framework. And now we have this new thing. And I don't know if it's going to work or not. I know that I'm very hardcore in my holding to this belief, but I do say maybe this will work. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Look, the system or the scheme that we play in Miami, and you know this better than I do, Curtis. The O-line doesn't have to hold his the opposing team's defensive tackle, defensive end for so long, right? Mm-hmm. And so Tua does get the ball out quick, right?
Super fast.
But here's the question. What happens when he can't? And that's the big question. And I think we got that answer last year and a year before. What happens when he can't get the ball out fast, when that first or second read is not there, when Tyreek is buried in the dirt from getting, pushed around by a cornerback and the timing's off and Tua can't get it to that spot, yep. Right? What happens then? When we've seen what happens then.
Well, I do think from a philosophical and like a schematic level, when you add OBJ in, you add in Jonnu, and you add in Achane, and you allow all these guys to get into routes quick, you might not have to box up and keep so many guys in it, and Tua might be able to have a little more progressions because you can put more guys into routes. But it might still be too finicky. It's still going to be very finesse and like a German car, very complicated. So I don't know. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. That's all I had to say on that. I mean, that's the only question I have. What happens when we can't get the ball out fast? See, and a lot of we just don't have. Look, we lost Hunt. We lost Hunt, right? We lost Connor Williams, and we know that Teron Armstead probably isn't going to play a full season of 17 games, right? Who do we have at left guard? Robert Jones? Because Isaiah Wynn, I don't think Isaiah Wynn's going to come back this year. To be honest,
that's crazy. Like, yeah. Why would we sign? Look, we didn't sign Connor, who's now on the active roster. He's not on a PUP.
Right.
So he's not going to miss lots of games. Maybe he misses week 1 or something like that. But he's going to play relatively quick. But we couldn't take a chance on him, and he's playing week 1 for $4 million, I think it is. And we couldn't get Wynn, and we took Wynn, and he's not. We don't know.
And OBJ, we signed OBJ knowing that he had this procedure in the offseason.
So that's the thing is this is the thing that I kind of miss about the old days. I'm 53. I'm not an old guy, but I remember the old days. And I remember like journalists would really get on the teams and get on the owners and really put their feet to the fire. And like a simple question is like, if Connor starts week 1 and Wynn is like out for most of the season, like somebody should be asking that question. You're paying for a guy who's not even playing, who's not even like remotely as good as Connor. but Connor's not here. Why is he not here? And then if Connor plays well and he somehow ends up playing equal or better than Wynn, then what? I mean, that should be a question, but I don't feel like those questions ever get asked.
No, they don't, and they should be. Those questions should be asked, but everybody just they ignore it. They just don't ask the right. A lot of these media guys down there should be asking those questions, but they don't.
I mean, hopefully you don't have to ask him. Hopefully Brewer is the guy that everybody envisions. He gets to that second level and you're running your zone stretch and he's already out there knocking a safety out. I mean, maybe it all works out, and if it does, then you don't think about Wynn, but I could not believe it. I was like, oh, I was looking at him. I was like, I'm wondering is Connor on the PUP? And he's like on the active roster. Like, how do we not re-sign this guy? You know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. Yeah. I think maybe I don't think it was them so much. I think he didn't want to play with us. I think he was
upset. Yeah, I think he had bad blood. I think he was upset because he held out last year. He wanted an extension and they didn't give it to him. So I think he, like you said, he's got some bad blood with the Miami Dolphins. Let me ask you something. I'm going to switch it around a little bit.
You turned it on me. It's turned the show on me, man.
I'm gonna ask.
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do it.
I know. I saw a comment in the chat, and they're saying we're putting too much emphasis on the offense. So, all right, let's talk this then. What do you think about the defense? Do you have any questions on the defense, Curtis?
Yeah, I always have questions. I always come from things from like if people don't know coaches, they're paranoid. They have OCD. They don't sleep. I don't sleep. You can see the bags on the eyes. I woke up last night. I was like thinking about a question about our 12 personnel package. And it's like, I'm in the middle of the night. I woke up and I was thinking about it. I'm like, and I started. So I always come from the perspective of we got something to work on. We got something to fix. I was not that way. I was like a very talented guy in high school. Everybody gave me everything you want. And then I screwed around and decided to walk back on a couple of years later to a pretty prestigious, but 2D school. And I was a walk on and I was a dirty rag. And I went from Mr. High on himself, to a walk on mentality. And so it's always, oh man, I'm not doing enough. Oh man, I got something to fix. That's just the way I think. So for me, there's a lot of questions for this defense. There's a lot of things to fix. I mean, I'll go through the positive stuff. I like that our talent fits the Weaver system better because we had stocked it for Flores' system. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that talent is way better suited for an aggressive blitz style. I mean, we run zone, but it's also man, but it's an attacking style, move the pieces around type defense. So I like that aspect. I like Poyer. I like Holland. I like some of our backup safeties. I think Fuller's, he wasn't so hot sort of, but he's better than Xavier Howard. Not as a player, but he's healthier. Ramsey, although he's dinged now, the guy's still a stud. I like who he's physical. He can come up and tackle. Don't put him mid to late clock. Cam Smith is a total concern. Bonner is a very intriguing prospect. If he turns out to be good, it's a huge feather in the cap of Greer. And then the Storm Duck, dude, the name. I love that name. I think about that name.
I think it's just the name. Everybody's all
maybe. Who cares? I just want to do film study. I want to do a film study of Storm Duck and say his name 75,000 times. I'm dreaming for that. So I think the secondary is pretty good. The edges. When does Chubb get back? Is Phillips really ready to grab it? Sit down and take that run defense. Is Chop able to play run defense? Is Kamara able to keep it going and not have big rookie blues? Because we need to come out hot. But then when you get to the interior and the linebacking position, that's where I get my concerns. And the linebacking group I like a ton, but the linebacking group is highly meshed to the interior D line spot. And so we run one gap of shooters now. It's not two gap like with old Zach Thomas and stuff. So we're shooting. But the problem is when you shoot, it puts the linebackers behind you in more attack, stack, and shed responsibilities. And I like the way David Long Jr. attacks. He can squirt around, but once you get on him, he gets engulfed. Brooks, who I like a ton, but he's shown me something in his tape this year that he gets overwhelmed too, even by tight ends when he has to block. Walker's not a guy to get off blocks, Tyndale, and so does DI spot. And not just you could say, I like Sealer there a lot. I think he's really good. Campbell, I like him way better at the 5 technique. I'm supposing to play stuff. I think he's gonna be playing lots of 3 tech. Like we run a lot of 2 to 2-eye, like a nose tackle between the guard and the center, and then we run that 3 tech. Who's like either it's like a 2 tech on the guard, or he just plays on the outside edge in between the gap between the tackle and the center. And I kind of like Campbell there, but I like him a little farther out in the 4 or 5. I like Sealer there, but I like him a little bit more out in the 4 or 5. So Peely and Benito Jones are going to be big for us. And if they don't do their thing, this defense that we run is really about throwing light boxes, light looks, even on first down. And if they get that run going and get into a balanced second down, it really puts us in a problematic situation. Very happy Benito's back. He's practicing again. This Jacksonville game is going to be very interesting. If you check their run designs and their run tendencies in preseason and what they did last year, and the guard and center they added, Morse from the Bills, Jess knows this, and then Cleveland from where I forgot where they got him from, but he's a big guy who can run block. They're going to attack that A and B gap. And so this week 1 game is going to be if Benito Jones wasn't there, it would be very tough. So that's my concern, is the heart of the defense. Can we stop the run? Because we didn't look too good against it in preseason, and it is preseason.
Right. Yeah.
But until I see it, I can't say it. So that's my thing.
No, you're right, and you're right. We're not going to know the true, how this team is going to react until the first game against Jacksonville. It's going to be a good test for us. And like you said, they have a good run game, and it's going to be a good challenge for our front, right? Our front guys, guys in the trenches. I have a lot of concerns on the defense. In fact, that's probably the position group that I have most concerns at, is the defense, even more so than the offense, right? Number one, we got a brand new coach. I know everybody's high on Anthony Weaver. He hasn't been a defensive coordinator, but 1 year when he was down there, he was here in Houston when he was a defensive coordinator. Didn't do so hot. I'll give him a pass on that. Mm-hmm. He was a defensive line coach in Baltimore. Okay. I know he comes from a good coaching staff, defensive coaching staff in Baltimore. And he's going to implement a lot of his vision in this defense, which he already has, but he's going to take a lot of that Baltimore philosophy and bring it over here. We can see that in the training camp and also not so much in the preseason. They're more running vanilla defenses and things like that, but you see a little here and there. They tease you a little bit. I have a concern with our cornerback group. And I know you're being optimistic and you're trying to see the optimist side of this, but I always look at I always hope for the expect the worst and hope for the best. So when I look at things and when I analyze things, I look at what could happen, right? What if one of our cornerbacks go down? Are we really going to trust Ethan Bonner? He's an unknown. Yeah. Are we, what if our safeties go down? Well, safety, not so much because we got May, right? Yeah. We got May to back up Poyer. Poyer's been nicked up. Yeah. Okay. Jalen Ramsey hasn't practiced in 2 weeks.
So a lot of those stars have been out for a couple of weeks. Waddle, Hill, Benito just got back.
Waddle was in a red jersey, and he hasn't practiced most of camp. He hasn't practiced. I know. And then you've got Hill running around out there, practicing running routes, but they're not even throwing him the ball. How I think they're downgrading that hand. I think that hand is worse than what we think it is. So anyway, I went back to the offense, but so my concern is the cornerback position on a defense. I have a concern with the edge rushers. Now I know Jalen Phillips is back. Medical technology is amazing nowadays,
It's
isn't
insane.
it? It's crazy. But anyway, so he's back, but he's a big guy, right? 6'6", 270, 280 or whatever. And he's got to put a lot of weight on that Achilles. And when he was practicing, right, they were doing half speed with him when he was in the 11 on 11. He wasn't going full speed. So when you get in that game, and you know it better than I do, Curtis, it's a whole different ball game when you're going against these guys. These other offensive tackles they don't give a crap who you are.
Oh yeah, that's the thing that scares me is the run stop. That's the most taxing thing on your body.
Yeah. Run stop. Yeah, I agree. So I'm a little concerned with the edge rushers, right? Because Jalen Phillips, we don't know if he's going to be 100%. I don't know. We'll see. Chop Robinson was getting demolished in the run game, right? He cannot shed blocks. If it once that tight end or tackle get a defense, offensive tackle gets a hold of him, he's done. He's done.
Yeah.
So that's something that he's going to have to adapt to and learn, and he's going to have to learn it real fast because he's going to be thrown into the fire along with Kamara.
Well, that's you know what? I don't know. I've got a little birdie in my head is saying that we signed McDaniel long term. I'm wondering with some of the stuff that's happening, I think they've got to be a little gutted that OBJ is not going to be in. I think they got to be a little gutted that Wynn's not going to be in there. I think they got to expect Weaver's going to have some learning curve. I'm wondering if they're just they kind of know this is going to be a little bit of a tough season, and they're not sure that they're going to be in the right position to get the kind of success they want. I think they know too that, hey, if it does happen, we're going to have lots of picks next year. And maybe we're in that 7 to 9 wins somehow, things because if Tehran goes down, or Sealer goes down, and knock on wood, it's very, very tough for us. So I don't know. I can see if we can get through these first couple of weeks healthy, we can get some wins and bodies start coming together. I think it all can come together, but it's a little shaky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is the first 5 games of the season, the first right up to that bye. In the first 2 games of the season, we're playing Jaguars and Buffalo, and we're playing 2 games in 4 days. You're playing Jacksonville. You're playing Buffalo.
Yeah. That's tough on the body.
Tough on the body, and these are physical teams.
Yes.
And Alec Ingold was already complaining in camp because they were playing a little more aggressively and physical in camp this year, and he was already saying, "Oh man, well, I'm worn out already," because they're not used to that physicality, and they're playing a lot of physical teams this year. A lot of physical teams.
It wears on you, and I think that's a little bit
on you.
Our time possession. So I mean, if we can get, somehow if we go 5-0, and then you go into the bye week, I think we're in a golden position. I think if we lose week 2, which I hope we don't, because I'm going to go see the game live with my wife. I've been trying to get my wife back into the Dolphins for 16 years, so I'm hoping this works really well. Then I think it's going to be very tough to get the division. So for me, it's just Jacksonville week 1 is the key. Just get that out of the way. Then you get the Bills, but that's a tough, short week. And then after that, you go into Seattle or the West Coast. You get a little extra rest, but it kind of gets mitigated by the travel. It's very loud over there, and they're going to be a physical team, physically on defense. I think they're getting back into the run game. And then you got the Titans.
The Titans are no joke. They've gotten better.
So.
They've gotten better. And they're another physical team. And they somehow or another, they always play the Miami Dolphins tough, man.
They
They
had some
really
good
do.
players this year, and I kind of like that
Yeah.
kid, the quarterback. I can't remember his name right now, but I think he's
yeah.
what's his name? Yeah, I think they're heading in the right direction. They invested pretty. They got what's his face, the center
Will Levis.
Yeah, and they got this. They got the center from the Broncos. I can't remember his name. Something with a C. He's a good player. And then they drafted a big kid in the draft. So I think they're going to be. And they got some good players in the skills position. They're going to have Simmons. They drafted the guy like the big nose tackle to play with Simmons. I don't know. We should be able to beat them, but you never know, man.
This is what I have, Curtis. If you allow me.
Sure. Use your day, man. You tell me.
All right. Well, I got it broken down here. The teams that we're playing, right? And I have what I call the 50-50 teams, right? It can go either way. We could win or lose. Then I have the straight up, I think we're going to lose teams. And then I have the teams that you're like, no question, we're going to win. So I have the 50-50 teams being as the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Seattle Seahawks, Tennessee Titans, and the New York Jets twice. Everybody's not looking at the Jets. They're not talking about the Jets. And
I don't know why. I mean, I kind of know why because they think that Rodgers is going to go down like in 4 plays.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But if he doesn't.
Well, that's the key to their team. That's the key to their success.
Yeah.
True, is Aaron Rodgers for sure. But they've gotten better. I mean, if you really look at their roster this year, they're as comparable, if not better, in some positions than the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yeah. I like the offensive line way better.
Yeah.
If they can stay healthy.
If they can stay healthy. Right. So, and then the wins, which I think we're just going to straight up win. I have the Patriots twice. I have the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, Colts definitely.
Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Although the Raiders are physical and they play us tough and they've gotten better, I think we're going to beat the Raiders no problem, right?
Yeah, but they played us tough last year.
Yeah, exactly. They were ahead.
They got a little bit of an upgrade in the quarterback position, and they had some nice talent. Brock Bowers.
Yep.
Put some, so I think they'll be a competitive game.
Yeah. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 games that if we're being objective, right, and we're not being, as I say, homers. If we're looking at this objectively, those 5 games, you could probably say, okay, we're going to win those. But then we got the Jaguars, Seahawks, Titans, and Jets, like I said, right? That's 50-50. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 that are 50-50. And then we've got the ones that I think that we have a really good chance of losing, right, is the Cleveland Browns.
Remember, it's going to be tough depending on the weather.
Well, we're playing them in the cold, in the cold time of the year.
I don't mind. Okay, here, before you get into that, look, for me, the cold doesn't bother me too much unless it's like frigid for our team. I think it's
But it bothers the Dolphins.
You think
anything
so?
below 40
degrees. I just don't want to believe it.
I don't either, but it is what it is, right? Those are the facts. So
we won a big game in the cold though, didn't we?
I don't know. Maybe someone can help us in the chat. I don't.
I remember we had. Anyway, keep going. I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good.
That's gonna be tough, Browns. Yeah,
tough, man. Then we got to play the 49ers. Now it's a home game, but we're still playing the 49ers.
Yep.
That could be a loss.
These are a lot of physical teams.
Yeah, but you know what? Exactly. That's what I said earlier. We're playing a lot of physical teams. And the 49ers, they can be finesse or physical.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought that's the way we were going to build ourselves.
So did I. Especially, Mike McDaniel coming from that
run
tree,
game coordinator,
right? Yeah, that Shanahan tree. All right, then we come over here where I'm at in Houston. We play the Texans. Okay, it's indoors, so it's not going to be a cold game, but it could be a loss, right? It's a playoff team, 49ers playoff team, Browns playoff team, and how do we do against playoff teams? Then after the Texans, Well, not this is not in order, but what I'm saying is as far as losses go. Then we got to play the Packers.
That could be tough.
That's a tough game.
Because it's just I haven't paid attention to them. Why? Are they still maintaining that home field advantage that they used to?
Good question.
I wonder.
A good question. And then, of course, we've got to play Josh Allen twice.
Yeah, so that's gonna be tough.
So right there, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 games right there that I'm not saying we're going to lose.
No.
We have a high chance of losing those games, judging by past history with the Miami Dolphins. So that's 6 games right there, right? So now you come back up to the 50-50 crowd, and you're saying, damn, what if we lose to Jacksonville? Or damn, what if
we can't?
We can't, man.
Can't lose one. You can't. You can only lose one game, and that game can't be Buffalo to come out like smelling like roses.
Yeah, and after the bye week, we play the Cardinals, which is not bad. But then we got to play the Bills. It's a pretty easy stretch after the bye week. You got the Cardinals, Bills, Rams, Raiders, Pats. Not saying it's going to be easy. And then when week 13 starts, bam, that's when the rubber needs to hit the road, brother.
Yep.
That's when we play in the Packers, Jets, Texans, 49ers, Browns, and then the Jets again.
Yep.
Those 6 games right there.
The thing I do like about this, though, is there's all kind of talk about the Dolphins not being able to stay strong, not being able to rise to the occasion, not being able to play bad weather, not being able to play on the road, not being able to have a strong finish. They get a chance to prove whether it's true or not this year. It's in their hands.
It's in their hands. You're right. This year, I think, is going to be a very, very, very telling year for the Miami Dolphins. If we and I'm not saying we are, but if we go 7-10 or 8-9, and next year it's gonna get harder. I know we're gonna get some draft picks, right? If we went 7-10 or 8-9, but it's going to be real hard because you paid Tua big bucks. You extended Tyreek, right? Guaranteed monies. Then you paid a bag to Waddle. And next year you got to pay. Are we going to pay Javon Holland? Are we going to play Jalen Phillips? And then you got Chubb may not even be here next year. Yeah. Ramsey may not be here next year. We got a lot of players on defense that are rentals. They only signed 1 or 2 year contracts.
I think we're good for 2 seasons. I think that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the only, look, if Tehran is not able to play next year, you got to make sure that Paul's ready to go. Chubb, I mean, I don't think he's not that big a deal, But
you know what? I was looking at his stats from last year. He was a top edge rusher. He was one of the top edge rushers in the league.
Yeah, well, my point on that is the year before, when you have Phillips, you have Sealer, you have Wilkins, and you have Chubb.
Makes his job easier.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, I find that sometimes, like with evals, people just kind of like create this bubble around the one player. He's the same player he's been around for a while. That was one of his best seasons. And I think he worked well with Fangio. Fangio had him in the past. Yeah. He works well with that style, But it really helped to have Wilkins and Sealer and Phillips. And Phillips went down, but then Van Ginkel was playing out of his mind. You know what I mean? So,
well, that's a guy we don't talk enough about.
No.
That guy was a ball hog, man. He was always making something happen, always, playing at 110%, making plays. I like that guy. That was a loss. And then who'd we get in his place? Was it Shaq Barrett? Was Shaq Barrett supposed to replace him?
And then he walked out. Yeah, then he left. And then we got Agba back, and then we got Campbell. That they don't play the same role. I don't understand that, why we didn't like Van Ginkel. I don't know.
I don't either because we only paid Shaq Barrett like $2 million more,
I don't get it.
and we could have kept AVG.
I don't get why he really was kind of redhead stepchild. He almost didn't come back if it wasn't for Fangio talking him back.
Exactly.
It was so weird. I don't get that. It's just I don't know. Maybe he just didn't click. Maybe I don't know. It's weird. He's a good player, not great, but good. Because
he's solid. He's a solid player. Like I said, he's a ball hog.
So Chris is. I love Chris. He's a great man. Came on a show last week. He says 12 wins minimum. Wow.
You know what? He has a point. Okay. I don't know if 10 wins or even 11 wins gets us in the playoffs this year.
You don't think so? I think I don't know. I'm not really so notoriously good at it, so don't take it as gospel. But I think there's going to be a lot of knocking off. The AFC North's got a bunch of tough teams. AFC West has got a bunch of tough teams. AFC East. I'm thinking, I don't know. I think 11 wins the division.
Yeah. Well, but
I'm not superstar at this, so don't quote me.
Yeah, me either. But I called it last year, not giving myself a pat on the back or anything, but I called it last year. I said they were going to go 11-6.
Nice.
This year, I really don't think this roster is as good as last year's roster, and I got them losing one more game. So I think they're going to go 10-7. I don't know if that gets them in the playoffs or not, but as I discussed earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if they go 7-10 or 8-9. To be honest with you.
Okay, so
I'm not calling that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they are, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
I mean that would be disaster. I didn't want to talk about that. That would be disaster. How do you handle that? How do you, how do you? I don't think. I think that's a little too low for me. For me, my range is 9-11. That I think. Okay. I mean, I am sure you could get to 7. All it takes is one injury to a key player. I don't want to use certain people's names because I don't.
That's what I'm saying, man.
So
that's what I'm saying.
But it could go the other way too. So like Chris is saying, 12 wins. What if Josh Allen goes down and then I mean that's possible too. I mean,
well, last year we had how many quarterbacks hurt? Like 4 or 5.
Oh yeah,
it was a record number.
Oh yeah,
of injuries.
So I mean,
that's why I say
unknown.
It is unknown, and we don't know. We're only speculating here, but it just my feeling, my gut feeling. I don't feel good about this season as much as I did last year. Last year I felt pretty good. This year I'm not feeling it. I'm just not. I don't know why. Just something in my gut's telling me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be injuries. I don't know if it's starting off like injuries. But we haven't even played.
Wait, hold on. Mr. Success is saying here, you're killing my buzz, Steve. You're starting to kill my buzz too.
I'm sorry, man. There's something
I totally get it. I totally get it.
There's something I always say on my show, Real Talk Rants. I always say the Dolphins that watch my show come for a dose of reality.
Well, I agree. You look. Yeah. To me, I think that AFC East is a buzzsaw.
It is.
And
it is.
Even if say, I mean, okay, here, let's just get into this. I'll get back to this one. What would be your definition of success to keep the arrow pointing up? Obviously not making the playoffs, 7 wins. It's like, run for the fire, bullfire alarm, You got that. I mean, so obviously 9 wins or something like that too. But what's the minimum, the floor of success for you to say, hey, so if we go to the playoffs and get knocked out again, is it still considered success?
No, it's a failure, complete failure. To me, it's a failure. In order for my expectations for this team, even though, as I said, I don't have a good feeling about this, but with all the hype by the beat writers, by the organization, by Joe, I was going to say Joe Robbie, it's Stephen Ross saying, we're Super Bowl contenders and all this kind of stuff. Well, okay, then you need to put your money where your mouth is. Like Tua says, show me the money, and you need to win a playoff game or AFC championship game, or a Super Bowl. You've got to take that first step, at least win a playoff game. Then I'd say we're getting somewhere and the arrow's, going in the right direction. But my expectations is we need to win a playoff game and go to that AFC championship game.
I don't even care if we win the division. I just want to win a playoff.
No, it doesn't matter if we win a division. That's not a do or die whether we go to the Super Bowl or not, or win a playoff game, right? Look, the New York Giants did it, and beat the New England Patriots, right? They were like 9-8 that year, or 9-7 that year, or something.
Yeah, I think it was 9.
They beat the Super Bowl. They beat the New England Patriots. They were going on that undefeated season. Thank God they beat them. But
oh yeah, you ain't kidding. Well, that's the whole thing. That's all you have to do is get hot, and I think that's the thing too. Even if we, whatever the case may be, we've got to play a full season, go week to week, and you never know what can happen. I don't, like Chris says, 12 wins. I think minimum. I think that's way too high. I think 7. Sorry, but I think 7 wins is too low. I think that I see it as this is going to be a very tough fourth season. I don't think that the Jets are going to be garbage. I mean, they won 7-8 games last year with no quarterback, like literally no quarterback. No offensive line. And so I think that, to me, the Patriots are going to knock off one of these teams, the Jets, Bills, or the Dolphins, in the shocker. That's going to be a big hit. Oh. I think Dolphins are 9-11. I think 11 wins can win the division. I think 10 wins can get you, depending on who you beat, to the playoffs. All I want us to – I don't care what happens. I want to see us to stay healthy. I want us to have some victories on the road in bad weather. I want us to not collapse at the end of the season and get one playoff win. Considering all the stuff that's gone on so far and all the picks we're getting next year, I think that would be a good sign for me. Okay, and that's fair. And here's the thing. I take that one too, 10 wins, conference championship, and fries. Yeah, absolutely. Fries. Absolutely. And here's another thing. I don't want to hear any more doggone excuses about injuries. I don't want to hear any excuses about the O-line. I don't want to hear it. Okay? They've already put their foot in their mouth. We're worried about the O-line more than they are. And I don't want to hear the injuries anymore either. Look, that's, injuries happen to all teams, okay? So the injury excuse is the next man up, right? But you got to have a talented man up, But I'm concerned about our depth too. Hell, I'm concerned about Liam Eichenberg starting and Lester Cotton and Robert Jones. Although I like Robert Jones over Liam. Oh yeah, but the whole thing is, look, I have my philosophy on certain things. They have their philosophy. They get to prove it. You know what I mean? I remember with Shula. I still remember Shula in the Jets game when Dan Marino. In the fake spike, he was sending the punt team off. I'm like, yeah, send the punt team off. Shula, you're an idiot. Don't punt the ball. What? And Shula, I remember Shula sending the team back out, and the guy saying, Shula rules here. And then we punted the ball, and it was like a 3rd down. And I remember Tim Bowens, I think, or it was Norman Hand. I can't remember. One of the two of them had a negative play, and then we got the ball back and drove down. And I remember saying, you know what? That's what I like, leadership that knows better than me. And so I hope that Chris Greer knows what he's talking about. I hope that they see things better than me. And I would like that. I want to be like the girls, like, okay, no, if there are any girls out there, listen, just do what I say. Okay, yes, I will. I'll do what you say. I want that. You know what I'm saying? But I can't. Yeah. I haven't really got that. So yeah. So I would want more than one playoff game, but I think if you get one playoff win, now that you got McDaniel signed to 2028, all you could say is they did better. And then you go into next season with all the picks. It's not what I'd want. I think with all we invested, we should have did more last year and the year before that. But what I'm saying is that I have to view this from the reality of that Greer's locked in as long as Ross is there, and Ross is going to be there for a while, and Greer's going to be there for a while. Whether we win 1 game, 0 games this year, McDaniel's going to be here until 2028, maybe 27 if things go totally south. Tu's going to be here 3 or 4 years, bare minimum. So, like, what's this window going to be? You know, you could say blame Flores and what happened there and ever. So, okay, we reset the window. Here we go. Give me 1 playoff win. And then next year, you got to get more than that. And then you got to do more than that next year. So maybe it's a little low, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see, man. That's all I can say. All I can say is, you know, we're playing. We got a game coming up. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think we should win that game. I think we should win that game by 10 points at least.
Yeah, they've got some good aspects to them. I think they're going to be able to run the ball a little bit. I think they're a little dangerous with throwing, but the defense got some holes in it. We should be able to, with this offense, dictate things.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I say we should at least win by 10 points.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but I really don't. And the reason why I say that is because of the number one, our defense. Right, it's going to take at least 3 or 4 weeks for our defense to really start gelling, I think. Okay, so I don't know, man.
We'll see. We got to take this. That's why I'm not even really worried about how many wins we're going to get. I'm just worried about week 1. So
yeah, me too. Me too.
Let's get that taken care of, and prayerfully we can go 5-0 because that would be good times. 5-0 this year would be big news for us.
Oh yeah, we'll be in good shape then. I think that, you know, we'll get some steam going. You know, everybody will be, you know, working on all 8 cylinders, and you know, we should go into that 13th week, right? We should be, you know,
and then we get to find out what we're made of. That's what I want. I'm hoping.
Yeah, we'll get to find out what we're made of the first 2-3 games of the season, you know, and then after that, it you know, like I said, the 13th week after that bye, or no, that'll be the 6th week after that bye. It's not going to be too bad of a gauntlet.
No, nice little smooth ride.
Nice little smooth ride, right? Unless someone upsets us, right? But it's that last 6-7 games of the season, man. Yep. That's going to be the killer right there, man. That's hopefully everybody will be healthy. We're going to need, you know, we're going to need everyone to be healthy.
Well, anyway, I didn't sleep last night, so I'm gonna. All
right, man.
So Steve, just tell us everything where we can reach you. I really appreciate you coming by. I wanted to ask you some more questions about the good old days, the glory, the Camelot years.
Sure.
But maybe next time we'll take care of that. But just give us the whole lowdown where we can find you.
Yeah. I'm on the Phins Talk Sports Network. And it's not, and they've got a lot of shows on that network. They got wrestling, they got baseball. I think they even have soccer now. They have a collector's card show. So there's all kinds of good stuff on the Phins Talk Sports Network. But you can find me on the Phins Talk Sports Network, and my show is called Real Talk Rants, and it's very appropriate name for the show because I do go off on a lot of rants at times. So you will get some rants if you come to Real Talk Rants. And like I said, I give you a dose of reality.
Well, guys, have a great night. I appreciate everything you guys have done, coming on, commenting. My brain's a little slow. Didn't sleep last night. So you guys are the best. Thank you for everything. Guys, be well. Go Phins. See you all soon.